This day in Philly sports history is proud to be a part of the Clashing Conferences Sports Fan Network, where passionate fans make powerful content. Check out theclashingconferences.com and join the squad today. What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly sports history for September 4th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a game day Thursday edition. Coming at you a couple minutes late because I had to watch the Eagles' new kickoff video, and I want to run through a wall. If you haven't checked it out, and it's not one of the hype rah-rah ones, just a little short 5-minute video on toughness, and man, do I want to run through the wall. But it is Eagles game day. Finally, they are going to raise the banner. Good news. FanDuel, thank you, FanDuel, is picking up the tab to make sure there's enough trains running to get people to the game, get people home from the game, so it's not going to be a hard stop cutoff time. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The other big news I saw drop yesterday, it looks amazing. Apparently, Saquon has been doing a video diary basically since around COVID, and it's turned into a documentary that's going to come out on Prime leading up to the Giants game on October 9th. Looks good. Super, super excited to hear that and see that, but it is game day. Finally, game day. Typically, I'd spend about 10 minutes going over the game, but that has been moved to another podcast. The Brotherly Birds Breakdown is up. Lots of great feedback so far. It is available. I guess it synced to Apple about noon yesterday, so it is available on Apple Podcasts. If you haven't watched it yet, my brother and I sat down, broke down the game, and honestly, the feedback we got was great. Love the fact that people are like, this is way more real than what you get on 94 WIP. There's no screaming, no hot takes, no talking about lists. Well, we did address the list, but all of that is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Go check it out. But to give you a little preview, here's a little clip to get your appetite wet for it. And I look at it like this. I spent most of my life caring about those lists because I knew my team was never going to be good enough to win it. So that's all I had to kind of look forward to. I look at it like this. Like you said, put him 1, 5, 32, 55. It doesn't matter. He's got the only thing that, to me, my whole entire life I was looking for, and that's a Super Bowl ring. And I almost look at it as like a loser mindset where, all right, we didn't win a Super Bowl, so now we got to kind of try to pump ourselves up. And, well, my quarterback's the top 3 in the league, or I got the best quarterback in the league. Great. I have the best team in the league right now.
Exactly. And you hear all that stuff about, hey, any quarterback could have won with this team. Yeah, but they didn't. We had the quarterback that won with this team. That's all that matters to me. Like, you can play all those hypothetical things as much as you want, but at the end of the day, Jalen Hurts shines the brightest when the lights are on him. You know what I mean? Like, he plays his best on the grandest of stage. He outplayed Mahomes. He's a Super Bowl MVP.
All right, so I will give you my pick, and I'll give you a brief summary of my keys to the game. And key bank, car dealerships, key shops, whatever. I'm open. We're open for business if you want to be a sponsor of the 3 keys to the game. But I think today it's very, very simple, the 3 keys to the game. You're raising a Super Bowl banner. And no matter what, whether they're going to be out there on the field, in the locker room, they're going to know what's happening. There's going to be emotion in the building. They're going to hear the crowd going wild. As I mentioned on the podcast, there is going to be clips throughout the game, in between plays, timeouts of Super Bowl things. So first and foremost, they need to keep their emotions in check and focus on the task at hand, which is beating the Cowboys. That's number one. Keep your emotions in check. It's an emotional game. It is a huge game. I don't care what they say. I like the fact that I've made it perfectly clear on this pod. I like the fact that they're going into it with we're not defending, we're not this, blah, 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 blah. However, it's a big game. I mean, nothing is going to change that no matter what you say. So keep those emotions in check. I think they got to pressure Dak. Cowboys have no running game. So I want to see the front four tee off, get pressure on him, and force him to be Dak. He's going to Dak. And that's part of why the Cowboys are in the situation they are. So get pressure on him early. And then offensively, I want to see balance. It is what it is. The stats and the numbers speak for themselves as far as Saquon having the touches in the next year. I believe if anybody is going to be able to bounce back and have another big season, it would be Saquon. But why risk it? Balance it out. Let the run game set up the pass. Open it up for Jalen. But those are my three keys to the game. For more on the game, more on the Eagles, Cowboys, the banner, the dumpster fire that is the Cowboys, go to the Brotherly Birds breakdown. My brother and I break down the game and get you ready. We give you some betting picks, give you a little bit of fantasy, and make our predictions for the game. So that is available wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. And, of course, for the pick, of course I'm going with the Eagles. The spread was 8.5. It's kind of a big line, but I do think it's an emotional game. They're going to use that emotion. I think they cover the 8.5. So that's my official pick is 8.5. I am going to play that. I probably will do a same game teaser where I tease the Eagles down, tease the over down, and take the over. But that is the pick. Finally, game day. We raise the banner, take on our bitter rivals, and now we have rides home from the game thanks to FanDuel. Couldn't be a better day. But I do highly recommend, I have it up here on my other screen, checking out the Eagles kickoff video. Nick Sirianni basically asked what it means to be tough. And like I said, I'm ready to go through a brick wall, run down on the field, and sack Dak Prescott myself today. Let's go. Eagles, Cowboys tonight. All right, Phillies, not as good. Kind of came out flat. Lost 6-3. Nola was horrible in the first inning, giving up 5 runs before he even recorded an out. Starting to become a little concerned with Nola now. And I don't know if that means you bring up Painter right about now, give him a shot. And I know everybody's like, well, who knows? But the thing with bringing up Painter now is there's a precedent that's already been set. Back in 1980, the Phillies brought up Marty Bystrom, who was huge for them down the stretch and in the postseason as a rookie. Why couldn't it be Painter? And at this point, if Nola's going to be giving up 3, 4, 5 runs early in a game, why not get Painter's feet wet and let him do the same thing? But they did out-hit the Brewers 9-6, just could not get runs in, like 3 double plays that cost them the game. But it's kind of one of those no harm, no fouls that the Mets had lost earlier in the day. So the lead in the NL East stays at 5.5. Huge game this afternoon at 4. So you got a nice little Phillies-Eagles doubleheader today. I love it. Absolutely love it. But big game. Rangers on the mound today. Would love to see them win 2 out of 3 here in Milwaukee before I believe they go to Miami to take on the Marlins before that huge series against the Mets. But Phillies lose to the Brewers 6-3. But no harm, no foul. Mets lost as well, so the lead is 5.5. Let's go, Ranger. All right, going back to yesterday, the trivia question. I asked you, in 2000, in honor of the Pickle Juice game, who was the Eagles' leading rusher that season? Lots of people said it was Deuce, but Deuce got hurt 5 games into the season. Remember, they were bringing in like Darnell Autry, Stanley Pritchard, I think, got some carries. But Donovan McNabb was the leading rusher with 629 yards in 2000. All right, some housekeeping. I mentioned the Brotherly Birds breakdown. Available at least right now on Apple and Spotify. If you get your podcast somewhere else, let me know. I'll get it uploaded there. There was still some distribution issues with Spotify for creators yesterday. So we are on Apple, we are on Spotify, and we are on YouTube. So go check it out there. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok. On Instagram, @PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, Jimbo_Mont. All videos for both podcasts go right to the YouTube channel. So you'll be able to check not only this podcast, but as well as the Brotherly Birds breakdown. And who knows, if the feeling is right, I might just do some live stuff this season. I know I've been teasing it. It's probably going to be one of those spur of the moment things, but the best way, just in case it happens, is to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And then, of course, continue to spread the word. If you're a new listener due to the Brotherly Birds breakdown, welcome. Or if you're just a new listener in general, we're glad to have you. Be sure to hit that like, subscribe button, leave a review, leave a comment. All of those things help us out with the algorithm as we try to outsmart it. All right, let's get into some Philly sports history. Let's go back to 1997. On September 4th, 1997, Phillies beat the Expos in Montreal 6-4. Rico Brogna hit a home run, and rookie catcher Bobby Estalella hit 3. One of the more unlikely 3 home run games you can imagine. It's one of the few highlights of that 97 season. The Phillies went on to lose 94 games that year, but Estalella became the first rookie in Phillies history to hit 3 home runs in a game. He hit 2 of them off a future Hall of Famer and future Philly, Pedro Martinez, but that happened on this day in 1997. And we're going to go back to 1988. And on this day in 1988, the Eagles opened the season with a convincing 41-14 win over the Buccaneers. It was 34-0 at the half, which led Buddy Ryan to set the starters for pretty much the entire second half. Randall Cunningham only played that first half, threw for 156 yards, 2 touchdowns, and ran in another. The defense was typical Buddy Ryan defense, intercepting Vinny Testaverde 5 times. Basically, this game set the stage for what a fun season 1988 would have been. I remember this year extremely well. It was the first year I really got into following the entire league and not just watching Eagles. I think I've talked about this on this podcast before, but my grandparents would give us the Miller Lite football handbook. It was like a little pamphlet that previewed the entire season and then gave you a spot to write the scores in for each week. And I remember before the internet, kids, you used to have to watch the post-game show or look at the ticker on the 4 o'clock games to try to get those scores in, or if you had to look at the paper the next day. But it was a lot of fun, kind of fueled my Eagle fandom and my love for sports history, specifically Philly sports history. But that 1988 season was fun, and it opened this day with a 41-14 win over the Buccaneers, where starters didn't even play the second half. The 41 points was the most points the Eagles had scored since 1981. And it is Thursday, so we're going to do a little Throwback Thursday today, brought to you by Lotwin. Get your 3D custom hype chains from Lotwin. They're great for youth sports, fantasy football, winners and losers, bachelor parties, kids' birthdays, whatever you got. The crew over there, they'll set you up. It's a little Etsy shop, and then he'll email you, talk to you through your design. I've already done it for my son's birthday. Very painless, very simple, easy. They're great to work with. So go to lotwin.com and use the promo code TCCPOD to take 10% off of your order. And we're going to throw it back to that 1988 team. I already told you, like, one of my all-time favorite teams. Basically, this is the team that taught me a lot about being a Philly fan. Taught me about the highs, the lows, and more importantly, disappointment. This is when I started to get the calluses as a Philadelphia fan. But after that big win, they would go on to lose 3 straight. They were all close against the Bengals, Washington, and the Vikings. But after that loss to the Vikings, they would go down the stretch and finish 9-3. The season came down to the final day of the season. All they had to do was beat the Cowboys, and they were in the playoffs for the first time since 1981. They had an outside shot at the division. They were tied with the Giants, or the game behind the Giants, who were up in New York to play the Jets, who were not very good. Eagles took care of business with a 23-7 win over the Cowboys. And then the Jets, I remember this, we did our family Christmas party with my cousins, uncles, and everybody. And I'll never forget it. The Eagles had already beaten the Cowboys. We're waiting to see what happened. Obviously, CBS went to the final live look-in or whatever they did back then of the Giants-Jets. All my cousins, my brother, all the kids were outside playing, getting hyped to open presents and things like that. I was glued with my grandfather, my uncles, my dad, watching the end of that Giants-Jets game. And Al Toon, I'll never forget it as long as I live, caught a pass in the end zone to give the Jets the win. Eagles win the division. They would go out to Chicago on New Year's Eve to play the divisional round, and everybody knows what happened there. It was the infamous Fog Bowl, which to this day still infuriates me because the Eagles would have won that game. To me, that could have been a Super Bowl season. I think they could have gone out the next week and beaten San Francisco because it would have given them confidence. And then who knows, at that point, the NFC was dominating the AFC in the Super Bowl. So likely the Eagles would have beaten the Bengals in the Super Bowl, kind of a rematch of a game earlier in the season. But Mother Nature had other ideas as the fog rolled in. And again, like I said, I remember being so hyped, and this is where I started to get my calluses as an Eagles fan. But I think that a win there would have changed the entire trajectory of the Buddy Ryan era because he would have had a playoff game win in his first attempt. That team could have easily made it to the Super Bowl. I think of all of the 49ers teams, that was probably the weakest one that won the Super Bowl, and that's not taking anything away from San Francisco, so don't send me any hate mail there. But that 88 season was fun. Defense forced 44 turnovers. Reggie White followed up his amazing 21 sacks in 12 games with 18 sacks the next year. Eric Allen was a rookie on that team, but the Fog Bowl still haunts me to this day. But that is Throwback Thursday, taking a look back at the 1988 Eagles season, sponsored by Lotwin. Get your 3D custom hype chains and use the promo code TCCPOD to get 10% off your order. That's Lotwin.com. That does lead us to today's trivia question, though. I mentioned Eric Allen. Who was the leader in interceptions for the Eagles in the 1988 season? Hit me up on the Discord channel, which is the first link in the description. The Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off of your chest. But who led the 1988 Eagles in interception? Want to show off your Philly pride without saying a word? Philly Goat has you covered. From tees, hoodies, shoes, and hats, their gear screams Philly louder than an Eagles fan at the vet. Whether you're tailgating in South Philly or trying to flex down the Jersey Shore, do it in style. Hit up phillygoat.com, use the promo code Jim Montgomery, and get 10% off your order. Philly Goat, because being Philly ain't a choice, it's a way of life. Go Birds! All right, and finally today we're going to continue our look at underrated and underappreciated players in Philly sports history. Today we're going to go and talk a little Sixers and take a look at Mo Cheeks. And it's hard to say sometimes that a Hall of Famer is both underrated and underappreciated, but I think Mo Cheeks, especially in Philly, fits that mold. A lot of times he's the fourth guy on that 83 championship team that people talk about. It's always Moses, it's Doc, and even Andrew Toney, the Boston Strangler. Everybody talks about those three guys, and Mo Cheeks is sort of like, oh yeah, Mo Cheeks was on that team as well. But Mo, in his own right, was a four-time All-Star, five-time All-Defensive NBA team, four times on the first team. His number 10 is retired. But with the Sixers, averaged 12 points a game for a point guard, which was pretty good. 7 assists and 2 steals a game. But he was an all-around good player. Like, offensively and defensively, he could do it all. I've talked about different times on this podcast where he hit big shots to give the Sixers or made the pass or made the steal. But I think a lot of times he's overlooked. Currently in all NBA history, he's the 16th all-time assist leader. He's number 7 on the all-time steals list. Obviously, he's the Sixers leader in both of them. Went on to coach, kind of was brought in and put in a tough situation here in Philly. It was sort of the end of the Allen Iverson era, but I think Mo Cheeks has to be up there as one of the most underrated and underappreciated players in Philly. Now, I know there's some big-time Mo Cheeks fans out there, so I'm not saying everybody, but I think in general, when you look at that 83 championship team, it's Moses, it's Doc, it's Andrew Toney, and then people are like, oh yeah, Mo Cheeks was on that team. But let me know your thoughts. Is Mo Cheeks deserving of being underrated and underappreciated? I think so, especially if you look at his all-time numbers in the NBA. But let me know your thoughts on Mo. Let me know the answer to the trivia question. Anything else, hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line 267-495-8531. Want to talk Fog Bowl? I'm always up for a good Fog Bowl discussion because it's just, man, they would have gotten it together in the second half if they could have just seen the damn field. Still. But it's Eagles game day, and that is today's question today. What's your prediction for tonight's game? It could be score. I don't think there's anybody in Philly who thinks the Eagles are going to lose this game, which kind of does scare me. But this is new Philly. We have 2 Super Bowl titles. It's a different mindset, different era, different feeling than the 1988 when I was a little kid filling out my Miller Lite handbook. But let me know your predictions for the game. 267-495-8531. On this day in 1988, Eagles opened with a 41-14 win over the Buccaneers. Defense dominated. Randall was dominant. No starters played in the second half, and the Eagles would go on to a 10-6 season, winning the NFC East before losing in the Fog Bowl. And then in 1997, Bobby Estalella hit 3 home runs for the Phillies in a 6-4 win against the Expos. Rico Brogna added another. One of the very few highlights of a 94 loss team. All right, we'll have more on the Phillies wrapping up their series against Milwaukee today. Of course, we'll break down the Eagles game. Be sure to check out the Brotherly Birds breakdown. It's game day. It's game day. It's game day. I've been waiting for this since February. Cannot wait to see them put the banner up. The crowd's going to be electric. Not sure how I'm going to get through my workday, though. But yeah, check out the Eagles kickoff video. You won't be disappointed. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for September 4th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Thursday. And until next time, go Birds.